Guess who's hurt in Week 6 NFL fantasy football? Literally everyone. My name is Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points morning lineup for Saturday, October 14th, 2023. Now, any stats you hear in this program will be from the Fantasy Points data suite, unless otherwise noted. It's been a very successful launch for the data suite, and I'm very proud of our team, led by Brett Whitefield and Chris Wecht. Now, the data suite is currently 75% off for the 2023 NFL season over at fantasypoints.com, and you can check it out with a free 7-day trial. You will be glad you did. You can also subscribe to any Fantasy Points content package for an additional 25% off with code GURIFIC25 for a major discount. Now, let's begin with Sunday night when the Bills take on what's left of the New York Giants. We'll focus on the Giants for right now. Quarterback Daniel Jones will miss with a neck injury, an injury that cost him the final 6 games of the 2021 season. Now, Jones initially said it was similar, but this injury does not appear to be as serious. Nonetheless, Tyrod Taylor will start in a revenge game with the Giants 15-point underdogs to Buffalo. And Tyrod's 2 best weapons, running back Saquon Barkley, who's been battling a high ankle injury, and tight end Darren Waller with a groin injury are questionable. And 3 starting offensive linemen are out. Wan'Dale Robinson, who was in concussion protocol, was removed from the injury report. He has earned 17 targets on 63 routes over the last 3 weeks and has 14 receptions, giving him a pulse on the PPR radar if you're desperate, but he draws a horrible matchup in the slot from Teron Johnson. Also at quarterback, the Browns' Deshaun Watson is out with a shoulder injury, which is being described as a rotator cuff contusion. Didn't know you could do that. PJ Walker will start in nasty conditions in a low total game against the 49ers. Obviously, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was not ready to go the last time they played, and PJ Walker is essentially going to be a sacrificial lamb on sloppy turf against the 49ers. Now, 2 weeks ago, Coach Kevin Stefanski said Watson was medically cleared to play. What happened? Browns beat writer Mary Kay Cabot reported that it could be multiple more weeks for Watson with this shoulder injury, and obviously they don't want their $230 million man to be playing hurt. But we are now even further removed from Deshaun Watson's last good season, and you have to wonder if he'll ever get back to playing high-level football. Here are the key running back injuries. Khalil Herbert of the Bears is on IR with a high ankle injury, and Rashawn Johnson is out this week with a concussion. So is Travis Homer, if you even knew he was on the Bears. He's got a hamstring injury. So the Bears running back this week is going to be veteran Deontay Foreman in a 3-point spread against the Vikings. I am treating Foreman as a mid to low end RB2 because I don't expect him to get much work in the passing game. The Bears are underdogs, but this could be a close game, and we have seen Foreman do a reasonable facsimile of Derrick Henry in the past. Now, I've been told that he didn't have the greatest of training camps, which would explain why he's been a healthy scratch for much of this season, but the Bears have no choice but to run Foreman against Minnesota. In Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs is out yet again with his hamstring injury, which makes David Montgomery an absolute hammer. RB1, he would be even if Jahmyr Gibbs was playing, in this weekend's tilt against the Buccaneers. The Chargers' Austin Ekeler practiced in full on Friday as he returns from a Week 1 high ankle sprain. Now, they don't play until Monday night, but barring setback, Ekeler is immediately on the high-end RB1 radar, it goes without saying. Now, in Miami, where Devon Achane is on IR, as I discussed on Thursday's program, it doesn't appear like Jeff Wilson is going to be ready to play. With a finger and rib injury, he is listed as doubtful despite his 21-day practice window being activated. Now, without Jeff Wilson out there, Raheem Mostert is a slam dunk RB1 this weekend, but Salvon Ahmed, if you need somebody, is a low-end flex in this matchup against the Panthers. I think it's something where you can use Ahmed if you're really desperate, and certainly with all of these injuries, there are going to be some desperate scenarios. Miles Sanders of the Panthers, he is out with a shoulder injury. Frank Reich, the head coach of the Panthers, said Chuba Hubbard is expected to get the majority of the work in the backfield. He is a low-end RB2, and you hope for a lot of checkdowns with the Panthers anticipated to be playing from behind. Now, it looks like Cardinal running back Keontae Ingram will return from a neck injury this week. I still prefer Amari DiMercato in this backfield, though. Per our guy Trey Camerling in his October Dynasty Desk article up at fantasypoints.com, the rookie out of TCU was out-snapping Ingram 17-7 on passing downs before Ingram missed Week 4 with his neck injury and has been targeted 6 times before his Week 4 neck injury. compared to just one for Ingram. I think DeMercado is the best fill-in, with the Cardinals expected to be playing from behind most of the time for James Conner. Elijah Mitchell of the 49ers is questionable with a knee injury, and again, there should be sloppy conditions in Cleveland. Could this be a game where Kyle Shanahan decides to get in and get out and risk as little injury as possible? If that's the case, Mitchell might not play, and maybe they pull back on Christian McCaffrey a little bit, giving Jordan Mason some run in this backfield as he had last week against the Cowboys. Also of note, Colts coach Shane Steichen said Jonathan Taylor will get more work this week. I still consider him a flex option with Zach Moss a lower end RB2. And looking at the player prop market, at least at DraftKings, they had Moss projected for 46.5 rushing yards with plus odds and Taylor for 45.5 rush yards with minus odds. So the books really don't know what to do with this situation either. I view Taylor and Moss kind of similarly, but I do expect the Colts to continue to give Moss the opportunity to prove that he is the hot hand. Now, at wide receiver, the Bengals' T. Higgins practiced fully on Friday with a rib injury. And obviously he missed last week when Joe Burrow played his best game of the season. Now, he is questionable. He is a viable but volatile wide receiver too if he goes against a Seattle team with some secondary injuries, but I'd probably want to be buying him given the fact that Burrow played so well last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown will return for the Lions with an abdomen injury. Obviously, you have to play him as a wide receiver one. He is often injured, but he does produce when he's out there. He tends to miss games, but produce well when he does play. Now, on the opposite side of that Buccaneers-Lions game, Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans will play with a hamstring injury, and it's a great matchup per the data. The Lions play 71% zone coverage, and Evans has the highest yards per route run against zone among all wide receivers per fantasy points data, a matchup that might be exploitable with the Lions having some injuries in the secondary as well. Texans wide receiver Tank Dell and Robert Woods are both questionable. Tank Dell with a concussion, Woods with ribs injury, but Woods practiced in full on Friday. Woods is on the low-end wide receiver 3 radar if Dell doesn't play this weekend against the Saints, and Noah Brown is also eligible to return from a groin injury. So there are some weapons questions here for CJ Stroud, but I think this is a pretty good matchup for Stroud to stand in the pocket and deliver the football. Zay Jones is out for the Jaguars with a knee injury, which means a better outlook for Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley against the Colts. Juju Smith-Schuster and Pop Douglas are both out for the Patriots. I cannot in good faith recommend you play any Patriot wide receiver in this matchup against the Raiders, though. That goes without saying. And the Ravens' Odell Beckham Jr. will play after briefly leaving last week with an ankle injury. Yay. Have fun. Trey just tells me to put, my producer Trey Camerlin, he just tells me to put Odell Beckham in these things because Odell Beckham gets hits for whatever reason. And at tight end, keep an eye on the Lions' Sam Laporta. He was limited Friday after a Thursday DNP with a calf injury. You need to have a replacement ready, though. It looks like Laporta's going to play, but keep in mind that this is an afternoon game, so you preferably want to have somebody from the Sunday night or the Monday night game. Complicating matters, though, are the Buffalo Bills tight ends, because both Dalton Kincaid with a concussion and Dawson Knox with a wrist are questionable on Sunday night. So maybe you look to Jake Ferguson from Dallas or Gerald Everett from the Chargers on Monday night as a potential Sam Laporta replacement. And David Njoku, who obviously suffered that gruesome injury with his fire pit at home. He suffered some burns. He is questionable with hand and face burns for the Browns. And again, PJ Walker's delivering the football. How much do you trust David Njoku in that matchup, even if he does play? Thanks for joining me for this Saturday morning edition of the Fantasy Points Morning Lineup. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more fantasy football content, smash that like button, and comment if you enjoyed this video. Which injured guys are you having to ride with, or which injury replacements are you having to ride with this weekend? Interested to hear about it. You can catch me in our subscriber Discord over at fantasypoints.com after you use code GURIFIC25 for an additional 25% off. Thanks, everybody, and good luck this weekend.